So I'm going to introduce Enable's CPO, our Chief Product Officer, Marty LaBelle, and he has two special guests he's going to bring along with him to dive into this topic of AI and how it will affect rebate management. Marty, come on up.
Big topic, big topic. I think Sean mentioned it, but I'm extremely pleased to invite two gentlemen that I think are real innovators in our industry. Andrew, we were talking about early adopters and innovators. So the first innovator that I'm going to actually invite up here with me is actually, official title is Head of Commercial Finance at WSH. And for people that do not know WSH, it is it is a global company, a leading food services and corporate hospitality company. And so the first innovator is named Graham Story. The next innovator that I'm really happy to bring up on stage is actually a group CTO at a company called Impellum Group, which is actually, it's a recruitment solutions provider. And that innovator's name is Ed Hutt. Ed?
I thought that was my seat.
So we had a series of questions around the topic of AI and how that actually intersects with rebate management, and how we feel it has the capabilities of actually transforming the industry, and how these problems are actually being solved. So I will start with my questions. Graham. And Graham has his phone because...
Just in case.
Just in case. In your role, I'm sure that you agree that managing margins and supplier agreements is vital. How do you see AI helping you optimize trading programs to improve cost management, and supplier negotiations?
Thanks for the question. I've researched this one. I think for me, there's three main parts to the question. The first one will be task automation. The second part will be managing supplier data, and I'll go into it a little bit. And then the third bit will be the claims side of things. So when I think task automation, I think what can enable, or what can AI deliver and enable on that task automation? So supplier agreements. Is it the right supplier agreement? Give you some insights on that. Sending the agreements to the supplier. So I'm going to reference my notes. Chase, message, standard replies. AI can do all of that for yourself. It can talk about terminating contracts. Is this a contract that you want to terminate? Is this one that's delivering money? What deal lines do I want to add to that trading program to deliver real benefit, be it growth or be it increased margins? Deal health checks. That's something that's, I mean, Paul said this morning, and something I've never thought of. AI can help validate the deals before you get your supplier to sign them, which I think is massive. If you think about signing an actual deal within Enable with your suppliers, unless it's configured right, it's not going to give you the information that you want it to, or drive the right thing. So if you have AI analyzing your deals, I mean that is a game changer, and I think that's something that it will add. In terms of supplier insights, looking at supplier data, and we'll come on to it in the next couple of questions. But again, that's really important. Is the supplier giving you the right information? Are you buying the right product? Is it driving the right growth, the right margins that you're expecting? And there's something that was mentioned earlier about claims, and I think claims for me is a brilliant piece of kit. And AI can really help with that. It can manage cash flow. It can start saying, you should invoice this supplier at this stage to hit the payment terms you're expecting. It can schedule reminders and almost automate your claims process so that you get the benefit of AI processing all that information. So actually you can get to the fun bit of the analytics, which is part of what I love.
Awesome. So Ed, as a CTO, group CTO for your company, I'd really like to get your perspective on how you think the convergence of AI and the traditional rebate management tools that we have today will be reshaped and reshape the landscape for any B2B company.
Good question. And obviously, we've seen the generative AI bubble burst over us over the last 20 months. And there's probably a lot of things that we could do today without using the A word. We could do it using automation, we could code things, we could create a lot of the integrations required to make things work more efficiently. But the reality is, over the last 20 months, and certainly today, if anybody is selling you a piece of technology, the chances are it will have AI built into it, or if not, it will be on the very soon-to-come roadmap. And to date, we've been operating mostly in a world of generative AI, but we're now starting to shift on from that into agentic AI, so essentially agents, which we had before, which are now AI-driven, so which are also now learning and taking machine learning to drive that and operating in a more and more autonomous way. So how does that start to change the whole rebate picture? Now, I've worked in other industries beside the one I've worked in, and I've worked in ones that have been very heavily rebate-driven. We heard about some of those earlier. But for us, the question isn't just about the rebate element, because for us, running thousands of contractors, placing people into permanent positions, but especially from a contractor point of view, we are constantly daily billing and paying. And we're billing and paying on different client schemes, on different rebate structures, on different payment terms, on different bases for operation with different risk profiles, and you can list out probably about 20 different factors which will affect our bill and pay, and therefore rebate and collect cycles. And the implication of doing it wrong is you leave money on the table. And the money you leave on the table, you might go, well, how much could you possibly not collect? Probably on an annual basis in one region, you could probably make 5 million that you never collected. And after a certain amount of time, you can't collect it because the contract will say, if you've left it 3 months, too bad, we keep it, and you've lost the money. So the ability to operate at speed and with great accuracy and 100% inclusion is increasingly important. So it's not just rebates, but it's also bill and pay and finance and working capital, a whole range of other factors as well. And you know, down on Bishopsgate, where we're based in London, one of my friends is in the next building, and that's a law firm. And they're currently contributing 13 million this year to AI-based initiatives in order to make that law firm increasingly profitable, faster, better able to service their customers, all using artificial intelligence technology. 13 million in 1 year, and they say, well, we'll get a return on that really quickly. So there's lots to be done, but it's not just generative AI now, it's also agentic AI.
Love the topic. And if I can translate that as well, you're kind of saying you're moving from a very reactionary and manual process where you're actually saying you can get to a point where it's fully proactive and fully automated. And the topic that you're bringing up as well is a lot of people will say, what's the evolution of SaaS? And there's this new concept of agent as a service using AI. So getting that full automation and that full intelligence is where you're actually seeing the power and the transformation happening.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew commented earlier about, will it replace our jobs? No. It might replace some jobs, it might replace some tasks, but it's more likely to be augmenting the human than replacing the human. So, you know, a category manager can now manage more categories, manage it more effectively, collect the money better understand how to price at the right price and where the price point varies almost on a daily and hourly basis. Whereas without that, you're in a static world. And I wonder to what extent, how many businesses could start to become, in ed terminology, it's machine businesses, in perhaps better used terminology, autonomous businesses. Well, we're moving on from digital now. You know, digital was like the last 8 to 10 years. You know, people have done digital initiatives. You haven't, by the way, catch up quickly. So now you start to move on to this autonomous machine-based business where actually a lot more of the tasks are done by machines, even in a services sector. And bear in mind, in the UK, it's like 84% of the UK economy is services. 30% manufacturing, 1% agriculture. I didn't want to see the amount of technology going into agriculture now. Autonomous tractors, I was watching a couple the other day, just doing their own thing.
Awesome. Graham, as you're at the forefront of adopting AI in your personal life and your professional life, you're really trying to enhance your commercial deals, your commercial agreements. With regards to the AI-powered capabilities that are coming from Enable, what areas of your business will be most impacted?
Yeah, so we are early adopters of the Enable AI, and certainly in the reviews that we've had with yourself, the real benefit is understanding the true cost of the product. So if you think about us in the food industry, when is an apple? When is it a comparable apple? What is the cost of that apple? What is the cost of a substitute product if those apples aren't available, or a flood wipes out all the lettuces and you have to buy something else? What is the impact of that? Now, we spend a lot of time analysing the data as an analytics section. If AI can do that within Enable and give you that real-time information and give you the scenario planning that I think we were talking about last night, that for me is incredibly powerful bit of software, so that we can actually start making smart decisions rather than trying to get to the answers. So for me, that's the first thing. And then if AI can start giving you the KPIs that you're expecting and telling you, giving you the risk alerts to say, by the way, did you know that you're not going to hit this margin, or you need to buy more of this to achieve an ADF or an ADV. That's really powerful as well, because it gives you the real-time information so that you can go to your buyers, your procurement teams, and say, this is what we suggest, this is where we think you should focus your time. And again, rather than have a scattergun approach, it is a case of focused understanding of your products, which I think is really important.
Awesome. Ed, one more for you. So I know you're pretty passionate about it. You're pretty passionate and excited about AI. We've had conversations about that. The transformation has taken place, but it's also taken place in other industries. But it is taking place in rebate management. From your view, how does the AI-powered capabilities that Enable is looking to bring to market, continue to develop, how will that transform your business?
Well, I think it will allow us to be more effective in collecting profit, pricing, because we're talking now about a sector where globally the price is coming down. So the price comes down, so you cut your costs in order to equalise your profits. Then the price comes down some more, you cut your cost a bit more. And there's a point at which you run out of cost to cut. And therefore the only way you can actually react effectively is to go back to price going up. But if the price won't go up, you have to earn the right for the price to go up. And therefore, to what extent can you construct in the services industry, which is very different to product, and create the concept where the pricing is done on a different basis, which links also quite nicely across to loyalty. Because we work in a supply chain model as well. So if you're a managed service provider, you've got multiple other recruitment companies supplying manpower to you, for you to then supply to the end customer. So that's the equivalent of a customer distributor manufacturer relationship you see in product. To what extent can you be more efficient with the use of your supply chain, and therefore instead of having it's unrelated, not one of our examples, but many years ago I worked for BP, and we did a similar program there where we had literally thousands of manpower suppliers, and not just for IT, not just for office, but in refineries, on oil rigs around the world, and that's quite a large supply chain. And to what extent can you reduce that so you're not having to manage thousands, you're managing hundreds, but no, you're only managing one. So you end up with a single one-to-one supplier relationship with a third party who is now essentially a services procurement provider for you, and they run everything else. Therefore, the ability to control those rebates in that type of environment becomes a lot stronger, because we then say, this is the way we're doing it. If you want to be part of the supply to this customer that you used to supply to, but I can stop you supplying in a minute, then you're going to work according to that route. And that gives us the ability then to move the price back up again, because we're then looking at a rebate scheme back to our supply chain that says, if you supply a lot to us and they're effective and they meet the correct criteria, then the pricing will move for you as well. So it eliminates players from the market. So one of the best ways of winning in a tight market is take business from somebody else. And this is one way of doing it.
Awesome. The next question I'm going to ask both of you. Graham, first. What are some of the biggest challenges that you anticipate facing as you adopt AI strategy in your company?
Yeah, so I've got two for this one. I think the first one is going to be a problem for pretty much every company out there, I'd say. And the first one is data. So I think we can't underestimate firstly, the power of AI, but you have to get your data structures right. And the time to get your data structures right, if you haven't got it, is going to be critical. Now, we have, in the past, dealt with spend analytics companies, and where AI has real capabilities is it starts using machine learning and starts saying, well, I'm going to categorize that product, that product, that product. And in the food industry, a prawn cocktail crisp is not a seafood. And constantly you go into AI and you say, that's not seafood, and then it will reclassify it. And you have to get AI to learn. I read a really interesting article about a drop of poison. So if you have a glass of water and you drop a little bit of poison in, no matter how much water you put into that, it's still got the poison in it. And I think it's the same with data into AI. Unless it's structured in the right manner, it will keep giving you the wrong answers unless you start structuring your data before it goes in. I mean, AI will help, but before you put that data in, you need to make sure that it's the right information, or it's just going to learn something completely wrong. The second point is people, and I am quite passionate about this. A lot of people say online, "Oh my God, it's going to replace everybody. There's going to be no workers," and I've had these conversations with people, doom and gloom. But we have to realise that upscaling our teams are critical for AI to work. It's not, and I think you just said it, it's not going to be, I'm going to replace all the staff with AI. It's going to be, how can I upscale my teams to deliver what I want? The analysts we have in our team, one of them wants to learn Python. And that's great, he wants to learn Python. But realistically, is that something that's going to help him in the future? Or actually, is it the understanding of the outputs of the answer rather than how do I get to the answer? At some stage, we're going to have to trust that AI is giving us the right information. We may not understand how it's got there, but unless we trust that AI is giving us the right information, we're not going to make any decisions. It's going to be paralysis by analysis, and I think that can be a problem as well.
Yeah, and you bring up an interesting topic. There is a new trend, because you said trust, but there is a new trend with AI. It's actually called XAI, which stands for explainable AI, meaning in order to trust it, you need to understand how it's gotten to do that intelligence for you. So that's an industry that's being developed right now. Is you do not want to blindly trust. You want to be able to actually be able to explain the logic and the intelligence behind the AI. And another one is actually ethical use of AI. So when you're talking about what is your policy for ethical use, you're talking about data separation, data security. So you need to be able to actually demonstrate that you're using the AI for good use, but you're also de-risking the customer that you're bringing value to. So ethical AI and explainable AI are two new themes and new trends in the AI space because it is moving really fast. Ed, same question for you. Biggest challenges that you anticipate in the adoption of AI within your company?
I mean, I think for the point about data, I observe sounds like master data management Mark II. We've seen a lot of these problems before. What was the definition of that particular SKU? You can also, of course, use artificial intelligence to help cleanse the data, and this is something we're now deploying internally. We've got databases of candidates and talent pools, and we find some of the recruitment consultants sometimes are not not as effective as they should be, and instead of deduplicating their data, they'll go, yeah, it might be John Smith, but well, we'll just create another record, and you find your record numbers increase. So how many people are you actually holding in your talent pool? But you can use artificial intelligence to constantly scan that and deduplicate. So we create a problem on one hand, but then we solve it using the same technology on the other. I mean, for me, the biggest the biggest blocker to the adoption of AI varies a little bit by sector. My friend that I quoted from the law firm over the road, for him, he said, it's got to be 100% accurate, not 99.39, 100. We can't have a situation where it creates case notes or generates evidence for litigation that's not true. And I said, well, do you get 100% accuracy of humans today? He goes, no, but we're being judged at a higher rate now. So in fact, we're pushing the standard up. But for me, the biggest blocker is people. Because people will say, well, I don't understand it. I don't see why we'd want to do this. Why would we want to move forward with this when we could do it the way we've always done it? And as, Andrew quoted, I think, from Ben Hart-Davis from the Olympic rowing team, what got us here will not get us there. And the sector, the industry, the economy will not carry on evolving by doing the same stuff what we have always done. It has now got to move forward because the technology is becoming available to allow you to work in a different way, to be more efficient and make more profit. And if you don't, you'll just gradually watch your profits decline and you disappear. And then you get the situation of ripe for consolidation within a sector.
Awesome. Again, another question for both of you, and I'll start with Graham. What advice would you give other leaders as they look to navigate this emerging technology, make the right decisions, make the right investments? And how could that even help them future-proof these emerging technologies within Rebates?
So I think the first one, clearly defined objectives. What do you want AI to achieve? Too often we say, oh, AI is going to solve everything, but actually, are you interested in increasing your margins? Are you interested in consolidating supply chains? What are you trying to get out of it? So unless you clearly define what you want out of it, you're never going to do it. You're never going to get the right answer. The second one is the process of how you get there. So there's a quote, and I'm not going to quote him, but he says, bad data and good processes are better than bad data and good processes are better than good data, bad processes. And I think that's really important as well. So understand what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and how you're going to get there. And then I think the big one for me is it's not a big bang approach. I think we've said it all the time. It's not going to solve everything instantly. You can't say 100%, it has to be 100%, or it's not going to work. Actually, I think Andrew said it earlier, target what you want to achieve from it and say, right, I'm going to look at those 5 suppliers, I'm going to look at those 5 bits of data and build up the AI within your organization. Don't just say, here's all my data, I'm going to put AI over the top, because it's just not going to work.
Thank you. Ed?
The day of large technology programs are over. Unless, of course, you've got SAP and you need to upgrade. Good luck. With this new technology, don't delay, start today. Don't start a big program. Pick something small that you can work on at low cost and prove the value, and do it quickly. Don't spend a year proving the value, spend a few weeks. The cost of generative AI at the moment is about £1.34 a day per user. So at the moment, on that basis, I can deliver 562 times return on cost across the pilot that I've run within our organisation on approximately 280 individual micro use cases, of which there's probably about 60 that get used continually every day. And that's, just for working it out purposes, is about £590,000 GBP added value on profit and productivity within the 7 months year to date. Don't delay, get going on it now. and then evolve your concept. I had an interesting discussion with the head of AI from a large UK PLC, and I said to her, what's your business case for the investment? And she said, well, it's really simple. We're removing 20,000 staff. The cost is X. I'm not spending X on the AI technology. There's my case. Next question. Really simple. That's two extremes. Micro use cases where you can prove most of them are valuable. The ones that aren't, you just stop doing. And the people who don't deliver the data every week to demonstrate their use of productivity and profit, you take the subscription off and go, you're not having that anymore. And I'll save the £1.34 a day. And actually, £1.34 a day is about 5 minutes' work for some people. So, how little do you need to achieve in order to deliver a return? Well, it's that small. So start now. Don't wait, because if you wait, everyone's going to come past you. It's only been 18 months since this has become really mainstream. But there are four areas of expenditure in technology for the next few years, and AI is one of the four. And SAP is one of the other ones.
So if I replay a little bit of what I've heard, in the industry for your companies, in software, but also more specifically in rebate management, we heard a story around data. And you are saying we need good data to take full advantage, but you could actually use the technology to get better data. So you're thinking of data curation, data quality, data hygiene, data augmentation, data transformation. All of that is needed in order for you to actually execute a successful rebate program. So yes, bad data and bad data models will give you worse outcomes. The technology can actually help you in that, what I would call a fairly heavy manual data lift. So that was a theme that I heard. The other theme was around, and I think Andrew covered it this morning, rebate optimization.
Yes.
The first step of rebate optimization, from what I've heard, is what's the real-time insights? How can I really get a very good understanding of the now? So the real-time analytics capabilities, and having some AI help you understand that right now. Then the next step is actually more of a predictive analytics. So with the data that you have from my past and other attributes and variables, could you tell me what the future could look like? And then you get recommendation engines. And then what if you could actually run that simulation and validate that before you actually knock down and nail down the agreement? So that scenario planning, the what if scenarios. But you do need good data. You absolutely need good data. And then we talked about streamlining some of those processes. So how much of it could be automated as well. So I see three main areas in rebate management. And I know this wasn't a question. Listening, I hadn't really heard your answers either, just listening. Is there another area that you would think within this space that the technology could bring value on top of everything else you've said? Or have I summarized it well enough?
For me, you've summarized it well. I think AI can also help us understand the return of investment. I mean, you mentioned it earlier. I still don't know of a good way within what we do of actually understanding the return on investment of AI. So you take the example of a bag of crisps. I'm not going to sell that bag of crisps, I'm going to sell that bag of crisps, and I want everybody to buy that bag of crisps, and it's going to make money, and AI has told you that. We as a team can't tell people to buy crisps. So if we price that well, and then all of a sudden there's a health, there's an initiative that says don't buy crisps, buy apples, we'll lose all that income, but you can't quantify how much you've lost. So I think AI can help in that instance as well. I hope it can anyway, and I think what we've seen earlier with Enable will really assist with that.
Awesome.
And I think a lot of that and a lot of this you could have done without artificial intelligence. You could have done it with good data, effective code, good analytic systems, careful preparation of the analysis. But the reality today is if you're buying something new, why would you buy it without an artificial intelligence component added? And if you were making it, why would you do it without reference to a large language model? Why would you choose to restrict yourself? You just increased your data set by a factor of n. So it's the best thing to do, and it's the way the market's going.
Yeah, I agree. We do have a video that we would like to show, and after the video, we will actually open it up for questions. So.
Is your rebate data scattered across multiple systems, making it difficult to gain meaningful insights? Are you wasting valuable time and resources searching for answers? Introducing Enable's AI-powered analytics. Transform your scattered data into a unified, customizable AI dashboard with powerful, actionable insights. Tailor your data analysis to fit your business needs. Boost productivity with intuitive self-service tools. Make smarter decisions with AI-driven insights on trends and anomalies. Consolidate your data into one source of truth, ensuring accuracy and transparency. Embrace the power of AI and unlock your business's full potential. Request a demo today.
Awesome, thank you. Before we go to questions, as the Chief Product Officer of the company, we've embarked on this journey. We are making a commitment to invest to leverage this technology to bring value to you in all of the areas we discussed today. Step one, which I call AI-powered analytics, really understand your data in real time today. We are going to continue to invest. When you're talking about predictive analytics, simulations and scenario planning, we were talking at the cab today, we are going to bring our customers to work with our lead data scientists to be able to look at the quality of your data in order to actually fulfill that promise of being able to actually validate deals and its potential way before you actually get them signed. What if you had an engine where you could actually change the terms of a deal and in real time see what the future could look like? And what about you had a recommendation engine that actually said, you know what, you should be dropping these terms, should be dropping these deals, but this is how you should negotiate your deals. The goal is, how do I actually spend money in a rebate program to drive more revenue for me? And that is what the AI will help with. With the amount of data, I agree that with old technology, you could get there. But with the amount of data, and also where compute has become much cheaper, that level of intelligence is well within grasp. The other bit as well, we talked about data. Data curation, data transformation, and data augmentation in order for you to actually have better data residing within your rebate programs. We're committing to that as well. So we've launched on this journey. We're super excited, and we will be working with our customers on the data that they have and all of the goodness that this technology can actually bring forward. So you have my commitment. It will transform the industry, and I am really looking forward to actually delivering one bit of capability at a time to drive more value for your business. I'll open up for questions now.
So you were saying about good data, bad processes. Have you been able to use AI to drive change in processes to bring improvement?
No is the answer. And I think that's because we're at the start of the journey with AI. We're only recently, as I think I said, every supplier that comes in, the first thing they say is AI, and the first thing they say is, we're going to give you this brilliant bit of software that's going to change your lives. And a lot of the times, they can't quantify what it's going to do. They just use the buzzword of AI. I think AI will start helping us understand those process gaps. And as long as we are aware that we need to fix those bad processes, then you'll get to the right answer eventually. But we're only at the start of the journey. We're maybe a couple months in, so yeah. It's a good question.
But you could use artificial intelligence to examine and improve processes using process mining tools, which follow essentially using the old concept from Harvard of stapling yourself to an order. It follows the different documents or process or transactions through a set of processes and observes where you're losing money. You're losing money because it gets stuck here for a period of time, and that was working capital you just said goodbye to, or it just disappears into a black hole, and that's £500,000 worth of timesheets you forgot to bill somebody, and so on. So process mining tools, underpinned by AI, which they are, will find the bad processes. And you can use artificial intelligence today, and there's various tools available, tend to be a bit sector specific and often quite specific to particular systems, that will find the data duplication and therefore clean the data. And it will make assumptions about which is the correct item and which is not, and it'll learn over time and it'll get progressively better and better and better. So both can be done, probably different products doing it.
And I would add as well, as when you think about a process, you typically have business processes that are being driven by various, what I would call critical business systems. And so the first step where it will help, maybe not within your process, but it will actually interconnect your systems way more seamlessly. And so if you're looking at how do you actually do a SAP enable integration more seamlessly, it will help. And so if you streamline your integrations of your critical business systems, it will have an effect on the processes that your personnel undertake. So you could look at the process, but you can also look at how this will facilitate the connections between your critical business systems. Question out here is, how many times do you say, your CRM, your ERP, your warehouse management, your stock optimization tools, are they all really well interconnected? Does the data need to be mastered across each system? Do you have a single view of your business language across all your systems? And many, many companies have all these critical business systems. Would also say some of them are actually well interconnected, but some of them are not. And typically it's because an apple is not necessarily an apple in another system. And so I think it will help interconnect systems more effectively. Anybody else have a question? We have about 8 minutes, so questions keep coming.
Hi guys, thank you. I think the trust question is the most interesting one for me. How do you help people, particularly I guess probably quite a lot of us in this room, where we love to understand how something works. I don't really believe something unless I can really understand how you got to that answer. How do you help people over, I guess, the emotional hurdle of trusting AI and an AI model without being able to understand how it's done what it's done?
Did they trust the algorithms in the non-AI system? Did they trust the way the old system worked that had no such thing included? Who knows? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I suspect the question, to some extent, is probably still the same about communication and probably lots of it. I mean, the way we did this, we burst in very quickly as generative AI took off, and we spent a lot of time briefing the entire company. No mean feat when you're global and you're running to thousands. And we did 100% of the company. We briefed them all. We gave people the opportunity to ask questions. We went back to people who were interested. We went back to people who objected. The people probably who had the least were the people who said nothing, kept quiet, and we neither plus nor minus, just accepted it. And on the back of that, we got enthusiasm, and on the back of that, we got people defining use cases. And they said, well, I can see how this would help me. And as a consequence of that, we then said, well, if this will help you, well, let's do it, because it'll help you. So they were self-trusting from a sort of start point. I mean, what I'm starting to find now is some people who are saying, well, I don't know why we do this. And I'm not sure that I trust the system to do this for us. And you go, okay, well, if you've got the money for the extra manpower, then great. Maybe we don't. It's a difficult matter. But trust is rapidly becoming one of the big issues across probably more software rather than hardware. I mean, we all trust the television, we trust the refrigerator, of course. But for software, can we trust what comes out of it? But it is a big issue across everything, not just AI, I fear.
And I think for me, we as a company are not going to blindly trust that it's giving us the answer straight away. It is a journey. I hate that phrase, but it is a journey. You are going to have to validate some of the outputs that it's giving you to give you that trust in the system. But I do think in time, it's going to become so powerful that eventually you're going to sit there and think, well, I don't know how it got to the answer, but I've trusted it giving me the answer before. I've trusted the outputs it's given me. I've validated some of those over there. 3 months, 6 months down the line, you will just start to accept that AI is giving you the right answer. But yeah, it's something that, I mean, myself and Simon, we sit there and we're like, don't really trust anyone at the moment. So how do we trust AI? But you're just going to have to.
My recommendation would be to be very curious as well.
Yes.
With what data is the AI learning? How often and how much is it learning? So I was in San Francisco with Jerry about a month ago, and rather than order us an Uber, he ordered us a Waymo, which is a vehicle without a driver. And we got into the car, and it figured out there was 2 of us, and it actually waited until both of us actually put our seatbelts on before it actually started moving. And I've also been in a self-driving Tesla. The amount of information that the AI that drives autonomous vehicles is collecting continuously, all of the experiences of all the drivers continuously, not with 2 eyes, but with sometimes a total of about 12 eyes around a vehicle. So it's very easy to start understanding that the autonomous driver, it's already proven that it's actually at over 90% better than basically it still has like a final 10% to be the best driver in the world, pretty much. But it's learnt from seeing a moose and seeing a deer and reactionary patterns. So when you understand how it's learned, you start feeling a little bit more comfortable realizing that you would probably go into a Waymo before you'd come into a car where I'm driving, because I'm a terrible driver. So my advice is don't necessarily take it blindly, but be curious how the tech is being developed. And then that will lead to a little bit more confidence as well if you just understand. And you don't need to become a data scientist or a machine learning engineer and understand neural networks, but just understand the fundamentals of how the intelligence becomes more intelligent is a way for you to have more confidence when it is giving you an answer, when it is giving you a recommendation and a prediction. And most of those AIs will allow you to drill down on its reasoning as it's being developed. And so that's my recommendation on gaining confidence in the results that an AI generates.
Thank you. Still on the overcoming objections, it was an interesting discussion so far. I just wanted to reflect on a couple of things I've heard within my organisation, not specifically around rebates, but just the general concept of AI. And the first one is something I think you mentioned very briefly, Marty, but just data security. There's still that discomfort that if we submit particularly a large amount of data, where's it going, where's it being stored, where else might that end up? And that still is a significant concern. So I'm interested in how that sort of thing can be dealt with. And that's coming from our IT department, inevitably our InfoSec people at the moment, but also wider in the organisation. But the other thing, and I don't know if there's a degree of arrogance to this, there might be, but is once we've submitted our data to AI, we will get an answer, but then that data will be used to inform every subsequent decision, or that's the understanding, that AI makes. So we might be assisting competitors, other people out there, by our precious and wonderful data and our great ways of working, that we're releasing those for unknown other parties who will access it in the future. And I've had that as well. So again, I'm sure we will get over that, and maybe you've heard it before, but interested how we deal with objections like that at the moment.
The first thing I did on moving us into the AI world was to block all AI. So I use Zscaler on the outside. Nobody gets access to nothing. Right, now the only stuff you get access to is the stuff we approve. On everything we've approved, and we've made very clear about this, and we've made it very clear to each of the vendors, that data may learn from the wider market data, the wide large language model, but the data going into it will not go out from it. So it's a one-way diode. So therefore, we have the benefit of everyone else's data, thank you all very much, but our data remains ours. And that, fundamentally, is the rule we must apply. I've come across organizations who've said, especially public sector, by the way, oh yes, we just let anyone put anything in. I'm going, wow, the amount of stuff you could lose. You know, for us, can you imagine taking candidates' data and sharing it with the market without their permission? You are dead. So we don't do that. So rule one, block everything, and then only allow what you want, have a one-way diode. Your data comes, everyone else's data comes in, yours does not go out, then you're fine. And keep checking it.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, you have to. And it's also, when I say ethical AI, when you're dealing with a vendor, you just have to be very transparent. That you're saying, if this is a concern, you're saying we do data sharding, and it's also a private LLM. So you're kind of saying your data stays in your environment, and it's only within that environment that you're and everything that you're actually, if you're actually teaching it, because over time you could teach your own AI. Hopefully you will. But you're doing it in an environment where it actually is yours. It's your model, it's your LLM, it's in a private instance, and it's within a data, we call it a data shard, which is your data does not get mixed with any other partner or customer data. And that's developing the ethical AI of the company, and then sharing how you're using AI to bring this value so that you actually can remove the fear of that data security. Also teaching someone you do not want to teach, or data or insights you do not want to share with the general market or your competitor.
It's actually relatively straightforward to do this. If you want to chat about it afterwards, then
Yeah.
let's have a chat afterwards.
I think we have time for one more question, Sean? Yeah? Do we have one more question in the audience?
Just a quick one. Ed mentioned earlier on about how significant services are as a proportion of GDP, in this country at least. I'm just wondering, do you think the complexity of services procurement means the risk of value leakage through rebates, earnbacks, etc. is higher? And can AI and large language models help tackle that problem?
I mean, the observation about the UK market is just a general observation. You know, that we are a majority services-based business, but I suspect it would still be quite interesting to see how that might impact on particular sectors within that, because banking is very different to recruitment or legal or, you know, pick a subject, software, still services. Yeah, so it's not a direct correlation. I mean, the interesting, of course, is that only 13% of our workforce are in manufacturing and only 1% do agriculture.
I think that's it. I want to thank both of you for what I think was a very enlightening session, and thank you for the questions.